Hello again. In this last video in this session, I want to just say a few words about groups for discipleship and nurture and accountability. Now, those who have been through the Cursillo movement are well aware that permanent group reunions are a really important feature of your continuing life of discipleship. When you've had an experience of God through Christ on a Cursillo weekend, and you've sort of set your feet on a new path of life, meeting together on a regular basis with two or three other people who've been through the same weekend as you, so that you can help each other to stay on the right track, is a really important and powerful thing. I still have the permanent group reunion card, which I got at the end of my Cursillo in the spring of 1979. One of the problems we face as we try to adopt a new lifestyle like Bell's is that it takes a long time to make a habit. In Surprise the World, Michael Frost says this about the subject of habits. How long does it take for us to form a habit? In his book, Making Habits, Breaking Habits, How We Do Things, Why We Don't, and How to Make Any Change Stick, Jeremy Dean suggests that it takes much longer than we have assumed. Dean's research involved asking 100 participants to choose an everyday behaviour that they wanted to turn into a habit. They all chose something they didn't already do that could be repeated every day. Many were health related. People chose things like eating a piece of fruit with lunch and running for 15 minutes after dinner. For 84 days they logged into a website and reported whether or not they'd carried out the behaviour, as well as how automatic the behaviour had felt. Dean found the following. The simple answer is that on average, across the participants who provided enough data, it took 66 days until a habit was formed. As you might imagine, there was considerable variation in how long habits took to form, depending on what people tried to do. People who resolved to drink a glass of water after breakfast were up to maximum automaticity after about 20 days, while those trying to eat a piece of fruit with lunch took at least twice as long to turn it into a habit. The exercise habit proved most tricky, with 50 sit-ups after morning coffee still not a habit after 84 days for one participant. Walking for 10 minutes after breakfast, though, was turned into a habit after 50 days for another participant. So Frost comments, from Dean's research it seems that it might only take a few weeks to develop a basic habit like drinking a glass of water every day, but to change and develop new habits that are more complex can take months of intentional practice. Now, I'm asking you to do something considerably more challenging than eating a piece of fruit with lunch. For that reason, I propose that a simple system of accountability needs to be put in place to ensure that you remain committed to these habits over a long period of time. I identified with some of what I read in that story. I remember when I first decided that I wanted to start daily journaling, and I decided to do it in the morning because I'm not a night person. So I would decide to make a cup of coffee or tea and then have a little journaling time before my morning prayer time every day. And at first it took a long time to get used to this. I've been doing it now for, I would say probably 6 years or 7 years, and I find now that it's the other way around. I have to really concentrate on not doing it, because it's so automatic to me. Make the coffee, come up here to my room, close the door, sit down in a chair, take out the journal and start to write. It's just second nature now. So Frost talks about what he calls triads of accountability, a group of 3 people who are on the same journey. And he calls those groups DNA groups: discipleship, nurture and accountability. And he suggests that those groups could meet regularly and answer a series of accountability questions shaped around the 5 habits. And at the end of the book, Surprise the World, he gives a sample of what he calls a Bell's Challenge DNA accountability form. It's just a series of questions that the DNA group can work through together just to be able to keep each other on track. Discipleship is one feature of these groups. So we're talking about our progress or our lack of progress as disciples, and that can sharpen our awareness of what it means to live as followers of Jesus and to help us to grow. Nurture. We all know that we need support and reassurance. We're often going to fall short. We're often going to feel discouraged. So the group can encourage us not to give up. And thirdly, accountability. The group can remind us of the commitments that we have made. Just the knowledge that we're going to be talking to the other people in our group can help to motivate us to keep those commitments. So, discipleship, nurture, accountability. Triads, groups of 3 who are committed to bells as a lifestyle and want to help to keep each other on the straight and narrow as they go forward. Personally, I think that discipleship rarely works without some form of personal accountability, and a DNA triad can be one such form. So we're coming to the end of our discussion of Surprise the World and of bells. So let me ask you, what do you think about using bells as an outline for a spirituality for evangelists? How would you adapt it? You probably don't want to use it as is, but you can adapt it for your own use. And how would you like to be accountable to somebody else for your adaptation and practice of it? Think about those questions and maybe jot down some thoughts that you can share when we come together in our group to talk about this subject. And so I'm going to suggest that everybody get a copy of this book, Surprise the World, and read it carefully, underline it, interact with it, jot down thoughts that you have as you go through it, and then we will be able to discuss it when we meet together in our group. Thank you very much for spending time with us in this session, and I hope that it will be a real blessing to you. And thank you to Ali for helping us out as well. Bye for now.